Buenos dias und herzlich willkommen bei Gate 7, deinem Podcast über Fernweh und Fotografie. In dieser Show geht es um Menschen, für die Reisen mehr ist als Spaß und Erholung. Freue dich auf praktische Tipps und Tricks, wie du tief in fremde Kulturen eintauchst und lerne, deine Abenteuer in bewegenden Bildern festzuhalten, egal mit welcher Kamera. Bist du bereit? Dann los, lass uns abheben mit deinem Gastgeber, Kai Beermann.
Ein Parkplatz, auf dem die Menge an Autos schier kein Ende findet, ein Rollfeld, das unter der immensen Zahl an Flugzeugen fast verschwindet oder ein Strand, an dem die Sonnenhungrigen jeden Quadratzentimeter Sand maximal ausnutzen. In seinen Bildern zieht Cassio Vasconcellos die Wirklichkeit ins Surreale. Der Brasilianer verstärkt bewusst den Eindruck der Maßlosigkeit unserer auf Konsum und grenzenloses Wachstum getrimmten Welt. Demgegenüber steht ein Projekt, in dem er sich mit der majestätischen Schönheit und Verletzlichkeit des brasilianischen Regenwalds auseinandersetzt. Ein Werk, das zum Nachdenken über unseren Umgang mit unserem Planeten anregt. Cassio Vasconcellos ist ein extrem vielseitiger Fotograf, das gilt sowohl für seinen Stil als auch für die Themen, mit denen er sich beschäftigt. Im Fokus seines Interesses steht die Interpretation unserer modernen Welt. Es geht ihm darum zu zeigen, wie industrialisierte und entmenschlichte Gesellschaften zunehmend außer Kontrolle geraten. Ein zeitloses Thema, daher macht es auch gar nichts, dass dieses Gespräch schon vor einiger Zeit aufgezeichnet wurde, genauer gesagt im vergangenen Jahr am Rande des Fotofestivals in Baden. Nun wirft die kommende Auflage bereits ihre Schatten voraus. Im Juni geht es los und im August sind Thomas und ich dann auch vor Ort in Österreich. Und wenn du Lust hast, dort auch dabei zu sein, dann sag uns Bescheid. Ich bin mir sicher, dass wir dann eine Möglichkeit finden, uns die ein oder andere Ausstellung gemeinsam anzuschauen. Es lohnt sich auf jeden Fall. Das, was Lois Lammerhuber und seine Mitstreiter dort jedes Jahr auf die Beine stellen, ist wirklich beeindruckend. Ja, und die Bilder des heutigen Gastes, die haben im vergangenen Jahr in Baden so richtig gewirkt. Großflächig ausgestellt an Häuserwänden haben sie ihre Wirkung entfaltet. Das Ganze kannst du dir ja nochmal anschauen. In den Shownotes habe ich einige Bilder zusammengestellt unter www.gate7.de/Cassio-Vasconcellos. Wie man das schreibt, das schaust du dir am besten in den Shownotes an. Da findest du dann auch den klickbaren Link. Ebenfalls findest du dort die Links zu 2 Beiträgen, in denen ich mal der Interviewte war. Zum einen war ich Gast bei Thomas Jones auf YouTube. Da habe ich über eine Reportage gesprochen, die ich in Buenos Aires gemacht habe. Also Einblicke in das, was ich dort in Südamerika getrieben habe. Und zum anderen hat mich Benedikt Brecht in seinen Podcast Momente deiner Geschichte eingeladen und, das kann ich verraten, mich mit seinen Fragen ganz schön ins Schwitzen gebracht. Aber nicht nur deswegen lohnt es sich da mal reinzuhören. Falls du Bens Podcast bisher noch nicht kanntest, dann solltest du das auf jeden Fall nachholen. So, jetzt aber direkt hinein in das Interview mit Cassio Vasconcellos. Viel Spaß! Well, thank you very much, Cassio. It's a pleasure to be talking to you here, to have the opportunity to walk through your exhibition together with you. Last night, you presented your work at the main stage, and today we can go a little bit deeper to see what you brought here to Baden. First of all, Cassio, can you introduce yourself a little bit? What brought you to photography, and what is your particular approach in photography and with your work?
Okay. Well, my name is Cassio Vasconcellos. I am a Brazilian photographer. I started very early when I was just 15 years old. So I have already 41 years as a photographer. It's what I love to do in my life. And here I am presenting 2 different series. The collective and also the picturesque voyage through Brazil. That is about the Brazilian forests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe we can start with that work, with that picturesque work. It's a quite unique story behind that project. It goes back a long time ago, almost 200 years, I think. It started with explorers going from Europe to Brazil. And maybe you can explain a little bit in more detail, and you can do it much better than I can. What is it about?
Exactly. Because in this inspiration for this work is the traveler artist that went to Brazil in the beginning of the 19th century. There was 3 missions from Europe to Brazil: the Austrian, German mission, then the French mission, and also a Langsdorff expedition. Everything between 1816 and 1820s. And in these exhibitions came a lot of scientists, botanists, and also artists to discover Brazil that was very unknown at that time. And they produced very, very nice engravings and paintures, and they are very important in the culture and the history of Brazil. So I inspired me with these images, and I developed a technique that a photo looks like very much with these engravings.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's one example. Maybe we can walk over there so we can have a direct look at what it's about. And
that one, it's a big tree of Atlantic forests, because we have two main forests in Brazil. Sure, the first one is Amazon, but also Atlantic forest that is so big. Not at this time; they already destroyed a lot, but it's an incredible forest with one of the biggest biodiversity in the world. And so I did a lot of pictures in this kind of forests that we have in many regions of Brazil.
Mm-hmm. And how did all this start? What got your interest in doing this particular work? Yesterday you explained there's also a personal connection to this whole project.
Since I was a child, I used to listen my grandmother, my mother, my uncles talking about the botanist that was my grandfather that came in one of these expeditions, the Langsdorff expeditions, and this grandfather was a German botanist, Ludwig Hierdo. So that's the link with my family.
And how much investigation did you do into your family history in connection with this work?
Oh, well, I read a lot about these expeditions, many books, and to see also the paintings. This is a part of the research. And then what I can say that is many hours walking inside the different forests. Because to find a good angle, even in a very nice forest, is not easy. As I think, as everything in photography, we need to look for a lot. We need to walk. The good pictures are not so easy, and that's good. I like that, because you really need to look for the things, and through that I make a connection also with the nature, because I need to walk many times inside these forests.
How extensive were your trips into the forests? Did you go in and stay there for a couple of days, or was it that you went in and returned at night?
Generally, I used to enter the forest and get out before night. Just once I slept in the forest, because it's not easy. But generally, I go to some national parks and some specific areas also, and then I go and back, but stay some days in the area.
Over how much time did you realize this project?
I am doing since 2015, but it's not all the time, sure. It's when I have also time and the conditions to make these trips. But I already have been in many states of Brazil, really very different regions.
Mm-hmm. And regarding the concept behind this project, how did you go about that? Photographing, what kind of equipment did you use to make the work, and what were you looking for when you went into the forest? What kind of scenes?
Well, I take with me just a few equipments, just one 35 Canon equipment, and one more body just in case of rain or something. But I don't like to take with me much equipment. And well, it's not easy, the forest, because it's a lot of confusion. It's a lot of plans. It's not so easy to find this kind of image, but I try to feel the atmosphere, walk a lot, silence, and sometimes it appears.
Yeah, I think everybody knows what you're talking about. Everybody who has been to a forest, there's to find a clear angle at the plants, at the trees, and when it all comes together, that's very difficult and takes a lot of patience. Did you go by yourself, or were you accompanied by someone else when you went to the forest?
Generally, I always, not generally, sorry, I always go with someone else. Some guide of the region. I am a urban person, and to get inside forests like this kind of forests, tropical forests, it's you need to have someone that knows the place. Otherwise, it's a risk. I think it's not a good idea.
Yes, exactly. Like when something happens, that you need someone else to call for help, and it's not a good idea to be by yourself. What did you learn about? You said that you're an urban person. What did you learn about nature, about forest, about the condition of the forest in your country, Brazil? What were your takeaways from that?
Well, I feel it's you know that it's so necessary. It's a kind also of respect. It's not just think that to maintain the forests is good for us. I think it's an egoist thinking. The most important is that it's important also for them, for the life in the planet, not just the life of humans. This should be first. The respect that we need to have with the nature. And sometimes when I found a giant tree, that's a big emotion. It's very nice. It looks like more than an entity, a big tree. I feel that.
When the explorers came to Brazil, it was a new world for them. They saw plants that they'd never seen before. There was lots of investigation going on, everything new. What is the bridge that you're trying to make between the past, the time of the explorers, and now kind of recreating the images or the style of the images that they made when they were there?
What I try is to get the same feeling, and through this image that I'm doing now, give the same emotions that people saw at that time. It's what I try. I try to not just one more picture from a forest. I try something very linked with what they felt at that time.
When the images were created, photography hadn't been it was 200 years ago, the images and photography, well, it's difficult to say when exactly it was invented, but some 180 years ago. So it was not really a big thing back then. That's safe to say, I think. You said you wanted to take the feeling of the images from a medium that was painting and engravings back then to a new medium, which is now photography. How difficult was that, and what is the process?
The process that I developed, yes. Well, I try many things. It happens with my different series. I always make a different research, try different techniques that I develop myself, and to find what I want. So the techniques just for to transmit this aesthetic and what I need. But before we were talking, something very interesting is that about the invention of photography. Because officially, as everybody knows, the photography was invented in France, 1839. But what is interesting that in this expedition that my grandfather participated, the Langsdorff expedition, there was an artist. He calls Hercule Florence. It's a French, and he invented photography when he was in Brazil at the same time. Now he's recognized. If you look for Hercule Florence, you will see that he was the first person in the world to use the word photography in 1834, 6 years before the official invention. But how he was in a very far place, and it was a parallel invention. It's interesting. And all these painters, artists, they draw, they paint a lot just because exactly the photography was not invented yet. So just a few years later, when we had the photography, everything changed. So this kind of painters decreased a lot. So I think it's interesting that they were doing that just a few moments before the invention of photography.
Yeah, it's very interesting that what you touched on back then. The paintings, they were very realistic. When you look at them today, they almost seem like photography. They're very, very detailed. And then photography was invented, and many painters they were afraid that the photography would take away this style of painting, and then art developed into something more abstract. But looking at your pictures, it's you try to create with photography a kind of feeling that the painters used back then, right?
Yes, exactly. With technology totally different. 2 centuries after, I try to make something similar. That's I think it's interesting to try this process.
It's a long-term project. You worked on this for a couple of years. You said in 2015 that was the start. Did you have the exact idea back then from the beginning, or is it a project that somehow changed over the years and with every picture, every expedition you did along the way?
Oh, since the beginning, I knew exactly what I would like to do. So the kind of the aesthetic of these images are similar during all the time. I just still increasing the number of the pictures.
what is it that you hope that people take away from this work?
Well, I hope the people feel sensibilized for this image, and that it helps more and more to give the respect for the nature. It's I hope help in this way.
Biodiversity, climate change, it's a big subject here at this festival. There are many works that evolve around this theme, what we can do still to change the planet and make people think and show the damage that has already been done. You come from Brazil. It's one of the when you talk about this topic, Brazil comes up because of the Amazon rainforest and the situation there. What is your overall thought about the current situation that we are in?
I think that the problem is from everybody. Okay, you know that in Brazil we are destroying many forests, but it's because the rest of the world also wants the things are there, the wood. So it's not just the fault of the people that are destroying. It's also the fault the people that it's buying. It's very, very complex, and unfortunately it's not just in Brazil. We know that they are still destroying many forests around the world, and it happened all the time during the human history, and you really need to stop that, because it's not possible continuing with that, because the tax now, I mean the amount of things that are being destroyed is much higher than before.
Yes. Cassio, let's have a look again at this picture here in Baden. The photos are displayed all over the city, huge, large installations on the walls of buildings, and your image here of a giant tree. You see the roots. It's, I don't know, estimated 5 meters or more than 5.
Could say about 8 meters at least high, this picture here.
Yeah, it's enormous, and it's kind of makes reference to the to the statue of the tree, which is the giant tree. And here in front of the image, you see some different trees. So it's embedded into a scenery. Green trees are around. What are your thoughts when you see your work here displayed in this kind of environment?
Oh, it's very interesting. I like very much to see the pictures in this very big size. I like big size for my work, because the conception of these works is to be big. Sure, not so big like here, but it's interesting that it works very well when we are in a outside place like here. And I think it's good to bring the art from an open space. It's more democratic, everybody can see. It's a good idea. We should do more exhibitions like that.
Yes, it's you see people here walking by, looking at these pictures, and maybe also people who normally wouldn't go to a gallery or a museum. They get in contact with the images and with photography, and also, of course, with the topics that they display. The size brings us to your second project. Their size is also a very important feature of this work. Maybe, can you explain what it's about with this second project that you exhibit here?
Well, this other project that I call Collective, it's about, I talk about the excess of consume of the humans, and all of the things that we use to live, the space we use. And all these pictures are made with aero pictures that I did in many flights, because I am also specialized in aero pictures, because I love helicopters, I love to fly. So I have a big amount of aero pictures that I use to construct this image. For example, here we see the airport. This airport, I have almost 1,000 of different images to construct this imaginary airport that I by myself make the draw the architecture of this airport, and it's very big, not just here, but I concept also to 2 meters by 5 meters large, with a lot of details. And each airplane comes from a different picture that I did in many flights I did. And I took, for example, about 800 hours in computer to construct this image. It's a 1 year working.
Yeah, it's impressive, and these images they expand beyond the frame. Like you see something, and it just goes outside of what you see. You can imagine like the magnitude of the whole thing, and this giant airport here with the different terminals and all these planes on the ground. It's it gives you an idea of how big air travel has become and how many airplanes there are flying all around the world. And it's same. Another image here is that of a beach, and it's fully populated with people. Yeah, maybe a few words about this image.
Okay, this was a beach that was, in reality, it was a empty beach in Brazil. Nobody there, very far from any place, but I thought it was very nice, the kind of waves and the color of sand. So in computer, I enlarged a lot this beach, and used a lot of people that I had in many places in Brazil, like Rio de Janeiro, in Copacabana, Ipanema, Bahia, many places, and I put all these people in this place to make a crowd beach.
And then the last one in this installation here, it's a giant parking lot with thousands and thousands of cars.
Yes, this is originally I did this work with 2 meters high with 12 meters large, and the idea was also to give a different perception of a big photographic image. Because when we see a picture enlarged very much, we just can recognize the image when we are far from the work. When we get close, we just see pixels or grains. We don't recognize. So here I did the opposite. When we are far from this image, we don't recognize. It looks like just points or a texture, nothing more than that. And then just when we get close, that we can understand about what is this image.
Yeah.
And also I try to give a perception, what it means, this huge amount of cars that we all see in any big city in the world.
Yeah, these pictures are about consumerism, about how we use our resources, energy, and which then leads to your other project, nature, how the causes that damage nature and that do harm to nature. Do you see any connection between these two projects, or are they separated?
Both. These projects I do the same time. They are aesthetically completely different. I know that it looks like strange, these pictures side by side, because they are really very, very different. But at the same time, that's the connection. Because the aerial pictures, the images are from the top, from far, a lot of details, and just one plan. It's a flat image. The forests is from bottom inside the forests, and with a lot of plants. It's not a flat image, and with a lot of grain. There is no small details. So it's everything is different. It's the opposite, but they complete each other. In one work, I talk about the excess of the things, the excess of cars, airplanes, everything. And the other is like a dream to go back in the time and to see more how it was before our presence, or also to try to show that how we need to preserve the nature.
Yeah, go back to what it was centuries ago. I don't know if it's possible, but we need to do something to protect the planet. And I really enjoyed looking at your pictures and the multi-layer theme that is behind that really makes you think about what we do to the planet, how we consume things, and what effects it has on forests and all other regions. It's fascinating. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thanks.